Assalamualaikum and good day I bid to everyone. My name is Nurul Nahida binti Muhammad Ilyas Zulkifli, and today I will be presenting my research report entitled Using Picture Word Inductive Method (PWIM) in Teaching Descriptive Writing among Year 3 pupils. Without further ado, I will explain the statement of problem that leads to the completion of this research. There are two major issues that I have discovered in teaching writing skills in my class. First problem I have encountered is low vocabulary knowledge. This problem can be demonstrated in most hands-on activities we had in the classroom, such as charades and Simon Says. Due to a lack of vocabulary knowledge, some of the pupils hesitated to explain the vocabulary simply for their friends to guess, which hindered language learning from taking place smoothly. As stated by Schuth et al. 2017, it has been shown repeatedly that children's general vocabulary impacts their performance in school. Therefore, it is important for the pupils to have a good vocabulary knowledge for learning to take place easily. Another problem is the pupils have an average proficiency level. As English is their second language, pupils have normalized using direct translation to their first language when speaking and writing. The pupils do not have confidence when being asked to tell their answers to the whole class. Only a few pupils would converse with me in English, while the others would just refuse to speak and stay quiet to avoid being called out. Moreover, their grammar mastery also affects their writing ability. Pupils cannot produce good work if they do not master the grammar. These problems have caused the pupils not to enjoy the learning process and become unmotivated to write. Moving on to the next slide, I will explain the literature review based on my research title. In this research, the strategy used in teaching descriptive text writing ability is the Picture Word Inductive Method (PWIM). Calhoun 1999 stated that PWIM is a strategy that uses pictures and words to stimulate students' thinking inductively from specific thinking, which is seeing the pictures and the words, into general thinking, which is make the available words become paragraph. It is designed to stimulate pupils' thinking from specific to general, where they see the pictures and words are able to make the words into a sentence. Hence, many researchers use this strategy and explains its advantages towards English learning. According to Joyce et al. 2015, pictures have been commended as an instrument deemed potentially efficacious for vocabulary learning, particularly among young learners. Moreover, Sapienda 2013 avers that PWIM supports the students' learning of sight words, including expanding their speaking vocabulary into a reading and writing vocabulary. To simply put, learning vocabularies using pictures is effective as it is easier for them to remember rather than using words. To improve pupils' ability to write a descriptive text, teachers should help the pupils generate ideas using appropriate learning activities. According to Rafika 2014, questioning is one of the best ways to guide pupils to initiate writing. WH questions will be used as a technique to help pupils generate and organize their ideas with guidance. Based on these literature reviews, I intended to incorporate the WH questions technique in my action research. Hence, the idea came up based on all the readings, and Caterpillar is created to help pupils organize their thoughts and ideas well. Okay, Caterpillar is an extension of the PWIM strategy adapted by adding bright colors and a table to each pupils in identifying words in pictures. Caterpillar will be in the shape of a caterpillar, as you can see. Each pillar represents a WH question that pupils need to answer according to the recognized words based on a picture. Every pupil studies an image given by the teacher, identifies what they see in it, and labels them. Pupils can also draw an arrow from the item in the picture to an area outside of the picture for more transparent labeling. Using Caterpillar, pupils classify words according to their category in the table provided. Okay, next I will specifically explain the research objective, questions and the instruments used based on my research focus. My research objective is to know whether there are significant differences in pupils' achievement in writing descriptive text before and after being taught using Caterpillar. Another objective of my research is to determine if the strategy is helpful for Year 3 pupils to improve their writing ability. Based on the research objective that I have mentioned, 2 research questions have been generated, which are the first one, are there any significant differences in students' achievement in writing descriptive text after being taught by using Caterpillar? And number 2, do pupils find PWM strategy easy and helpful in improving their writing ability? Research question 1 is answered using the students' performance data and related journal entries gathered throughout the practicum phases. Meanwhile, research question 2 is answered using interview transcript. Okay, moving on to the next slide on the method that I have used to gather evidence for my research. First, I use pre and post tests to test pupils' performance before and after the introduced intervention. As you can see from the picture, pupils are required to fill in the categories below with vocabularies they gathered using PWM method. Then, after completing the table, they will construct sentences. The marks from both tests were collected to allow me to compare and analyze them, thus allowing me to find out the answer to my research question. The test items were checked by my supervisor and cooperating teacher to ensure content validity and its suitability before the tests were administered. More evidence can be found through journal entries, which is my second instrument in this research. A diary is a research tool that requires respondents to make regular records of their daily activities and experiences. Hence, it is best to be used as supports to my research findings. The last method is through semi-structured interview. Interviews with the pupils were conducted twice before and after the intervention to identify the effectiveness of teaching intervention based on their academic performances. Questions will be asked on how the pupils think the intervention is useful for them in writing descriptive text. Next would be the finding. The findings of the research will focus on answering 2 research questions mentioned earlier. To address the first research questions, students' performance data is collected. Students' performance data is the marks gathered and recorded before and after Caterpillar is conducted. As you can see in the tabulated graph below, the result of the data indicated that all 5 participants had shown an improvement in their test. It can be inferred that the participants have performed relatively better in the post-test than the second test after the intervention is carried out. They could write longer sentences with more detailed information and suitable vocabularies after they knew the steps, hence why the marks is slightly higher. The statement could be supported by including the transcripts of journal entries made after the tests were implemented as below. On journal entry on 15 October 2020, the pupils seems to be very comfortable writing simple sentences as most of them could get full marks. However, some grammatical errors and sentence construction issues were still appearing. This allows more room for modifications to take place. After the second test is conducted, I was able to see the pupils slowly progressing despite some were still struggling to grasp the application of Caterpillar. The intervention still has some flaws that further modifications should be made instantly. On 27 October 2020, pupils responded to the intervention positively after the post-test ended. Most of them are rewarded after showing significant improvement in their marks. The intervention helped pupils, especially low achievers, to score when they mastered basic writing. After the pupils' performance data is collected, an interview was conducted with 5 participants to address the second research questions. The data collected from the pupils' pre and post test showed the same consistency with the interview finding. Table below showed the emerging themes factors from the interview. Okay, based on the table, the highest frequency factor was that the caterpillar method is fun to use during lessons and helps pupils understand descriptive writing. All participants mentioned these factors. The second highest factor was mentioned 3 times, which is the caterpillar method is easy to use. This means although the method is interesting, 2 participants still feel unfamiliar with it. More efforts will be given to ensure pupils understand entirely how to use this method. Okay, to conclude, from the research findings, I found that the participants have shown encouraging responses by applying the caterpillar technique as an intervention to enable pupils to write descriptive text and use it correctly. This can be seen obvious in the pupils' performance from the scores in the post-test, which prove that the pupils' comprehension of writing descriptive text also improves. Okay, since the improvement is seen after the intervention is implemented, it further reinforces the idea that caterpillar approach increases the pupils' comprehension of descriptive writing as mentioned in the first objective of the research. Okay, before I end my presentation, this intervention could be further modified by adding grammar knowledge at the back of the caterpillar technique. Grammar should be taught and mastered by the students before implementing caterpillar technique. These steps might be time-consuming, but if more efforts are given by the teacher, pupils will be able to use this method easily. Okay, so these are the references that I have included in my research presentation. That's all. Thank you.